Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. You know, in life, we've got people who follow, and then you've got people who lead. You got people who follow the trend, and then you've got the trendsetters. Well, I guess that doesn't just apply to people. No, in this case, it also applies to states. And like usual, as has been a clear trend here, the great state of Texas is leading the charge, leading the way. Some things never change, huh? Texas is at it again, redefining the standard for what is based. And this is based. The state of Texas is once again doing it right. You've probably seen all the epic deportation clips that have been floating around the internet this past week. And you've probably heard all the commentary and all the reports about how it's starting off with deporting the illegal migrants that have deportation orders or have committed violent crimes. And a lot of people have stated that it doesn't go far enough. You can't just deport those who are a criminal threat while enabling the rest of the undocumented people who have also committed a federal crime. It should be a widespread effort. And well, I guess the state of Texas agrees. They're saying, hold my beer, because we're not stopping with just those who have deportation orders or a criminal record. No, Texas is doing this in true cowboy bounty hunter style. They're going all the way, setting up checkpoints and going after all people who have entered the country illegally. And of course, the leftists are losing their minds. Let me show you guys exactly what's going on. We got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. Okay, so let's first start off with this clip right over here. We have a Texas resident who's filling us in on exactly what's going on in the state. Take a look.
No, you guys are not just getting people with criminal records. They are doing checkpoints. And so this is what happened. Yesterday, my mom got pulled over at 10 a.m. outside of the house, but my mom is a citizen. They pulled her over and they advised her that they have a checkpoint and that they need to see her driver license or documentation. So my mom showed her ID and they let her go. This morning my dad was pulling out to leave. My mom was going to meet him out in the front because they were going to take this same car, but they were just going to park the other car out on the street. And as my dad was pulling out, a bunch of undercovers, pulled him over and asked him for a driver license and said, we are doing a checkpoint. We need to see, driver license, etc. Obviously, my dad is an immigrant. My dad does not have documentation. So obviously they detained my dad. I took him to the center, and then my dad called my mom from there and told her, they're taking me straight to Las Vegas. They have executive orders to pick up whoever is illegal, is an immigrant, and send them straight through. Not even put them in the jail. They're going to detain them at the Las Vegas detention center. All the immigrants that are already there, they're going to go drop them off in TJ. He left his phone in the truck. Luckily, the ICE detainee or police officer let my mom take his phone back so he can call us when he does get to TJ. So they met her at the gate. My mom said, my daughter wants to speak to you. We have a lawyer. And he said, we're not getting involved with that. We have executive orders to shoot whoever's undocumented straight back. Not even put them in the jail system, just shoot them straight back. It's not just criminal records, you guys. This is all immigrants are doing checkpoints. They're not caring about your rights. They don't care about the law. They're out there raw.
Now, of course, it's being presented as a sob story, and a lot of people are signaling outrage online over this, but there's nothing to be outraged over. This is the law. In fact, I'd go as far to say that Texas seems to be the first state that seems to be getting it right. This absolutely should be the standard. It's the standard everywhere else. And that's really the double standard that has to be addressed here. Actually, I got the perfect clip to really help cement that point. Take a look at this.
Mexico cannot cope, not sure any country can, but Mexico can't cope with like a sudden influx of millions of people. I mean, as much as she wants to embrace them, to use her word, when they come back and make them feel welcome, it all sounds very nice when you're listening to it, but the reality of that is just completely unsustainable. A lot of these people have lived in the U.S. for decades. They have lives there. They have families. They're good standing citizens. So they're not in a position to just be deported and say like, oh, okay, well, I'm just going to come back here and take a job making a fraction of what I used to make and go to my town where I don't have anything left.
This is the kind of discussion that's happening on the left. The hypocrisy, the double standard is just baffling. How is Mexico going to deal with this influx of migrants? Really? How's Mexico going to deal with the influx of migrants? What about America? If the Mexican government can't handle millions of people being deported back, well then why should America ever have to accept it? Because that's exactly what's been happening. Why should America be responsible for millions of people if it's such an unsustainable practice? Why is America the only country expected to bend over backwards to sacrifice its own national security and economic interest at the altar of wokeness and open borders? There's no justification for it. There's never been a logical justification or rationalization for this policy. The one major talking point that Democrats have attempted to build their case on has been the whole refugee thing, right? As if all of these people are refugees, and so America has an international duty to step in and accept these people. But come on. They act like every illegal migrant is a refugee, but that's not how international law works. The United Nations policy on actual refugees is very clear. You're supposed to seek refuge in the first country available. And for most people, for most of the people crossing the American border, yeah, that isn't America. And we've seen that as of late. A lot of people crossing over the border illegally aren't even from South America. They're from entirely different continents, like Africa, the Middle East, and even Asia. What border does Asia share with the United States? This isn't about fleeing for survival. The vast majority of these so-called refugees are actually economic migrants. They're not fleeing war. They're not running for their lives. They're not being persecuted by their governments. They just want access to America's systems, America's economy, American benefits, all the free stuff that Democrats have been giving them. And of course, Democrats have been happy to enable this abuse of the system, all under the guise that they're doing humanitarian work. But we know what this has all been about: importing cheap labor and importing loyal Democrat votes. And so now it's time for America the Beautiful to put its foot down. And of course, that's starting in Texas. Texas is starting the trend. Texas is leading the way. And yes, Mexico's probably going to have to deal with the brunt of it. And I'd say rightfully so. I'm not outraged that Mexico's in a position right now that's going to be tough for them to handle. But at the end of the day, you reap what you sow. Mexico, as a whole, the Mexican economy has made billions of dollars trafficking people into the United States. They've enabled this crisis for far too long. They have cartels and human smuggling rings openly operating, generating untold billions of dollars. That's clearly stimulating their economy, not to mention all the money that's being made in the United States and then being sent back home. They've essentially been benefiting from this refugee asylum-seeking scam, and clearly their government has allowed and enabled it. In other words, they've actively worked against American interest for the past decades, but especially over the last 4 years. They've hurt the American economy, compromised American national security, and funneled in deadly drugs into the nation at the highest levels we've ever seen. But now we're supposed to feel bad for them being unable to handle taking these people back. No, these people should have never been allowed to cross over in the first place. Mexican officials could have stopped these caravans. They could have sent these people back, or they could have processed them domestically, because again, you're supposed to seek asylum in the first country that will accept you. And Mexico is one of those countries. They adhere to the same asylum laws as America does, the same international laws. And what they've done here has been objectively wrong. It's compromised American security, and now it's time to rectify the situation. Period. Texas is doing it right, sending the people back, and now it's their problem. And trust me, let me tell you, the Mexican government is going to be taking this seriously. They're going to do everything in their power to undo the wrongs that they've done in the past, because, well, you guessed it, the tariffs just hit. These leftoids can feign all the outrage that they want. At the end of the day, there's nothing to be outraged over. What's happening now is what should have happened a long time ago. We're simply seeing the enforcement of federal laws in the American Constitution, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Anyways, that's pretty much what I got for you guys on this one. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to leave a like and possibly subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.